Hey there, everybody. Thank you for joining me for today. This is Gabriel Visiontoon Lamette here, and I'm really excited about this Wellness Wednesday topic and subject to be able to share with you because it's actually going to spotlight a bit about my childhood, a little bit of my origin story, but it's going to also kind of reflect on why I have the type of mindset that I have as being a father and what my experiences have been like. And so everybody, let's go ahead and look to dig into this subject a little bit. And it's titled, Hope to Raise a Healthy Child. So as many of you have already heard from my previous videos, being a father to a boy or a girl, it didn't really matter, has always been a dream of mine. It was something that at one point I didn't really focus on or believe in anymore because I just didn't think it was going to happen. And then it suddenly happened and I was just so excited about it. But as most parents, when they're brand new parents, you have a lot of wishes and you're hoping that things turn out right. You're praying for a healthy child to come. But sometimes we don't think about what we are going to have to maintain as much of a healthy child as we possibly can. Obviously, within life, there are things that happen that are completely, totally out of our control, but there are certain things that we are able to control, such as things that might lead to health issues later on that can simply be avoided. Let's say, for instance, if you're a person who smokes and you're around your child and you smoke all the time, secondhand smoke, that type of thing. Those are things that you can avoid. And then it also goes into the subject of what you do as far as foods or the healthy lifestyle examples of sorts. And it's really made me start thinking, what does this need to look like? Because I want to give my son the best opportunity to have the better quality of life as much as we possibly can. And even if I teach him everything that I know and show him all that I can, and he turns out to do what he's going to do on his own regardless, obviously there's nothing I can do to control that, but I want to do my part. And so I think of when I was a little guy. I think I was like in the 5th grade, and I remember when my mother pulled me aside and she pulled me away from my brothers because growing up, in my house, if you left yourself open for any kind of jokes, you were definitely going to get it. We all served each other with some really good jokes, or as we used to say, we were always bagging on each other. And she pulled me aside and she talked to me because she was talking about the fact that the last time that I went to go and visit a family member kept referring to me as 32. And that was because I had a 32-inch waistline in the 5th grade. And she went on to talk to me about the fact that I was starting to develop chests that look like women's breasts, and she was concerned, and she was coming from a good place by wanting to say something to me. However, she was still talking to a child in the 5th grade who does not control the food that he actually puts in his body. And I remember her talking about that, and she was like, you need to do something about it. You need to do something about it. And again, I'm like, I'm in the 5th grade, but okay, I'm going to try and figure this out. I'm going to maybe watch some more Arnold Schwarzenegger movies to figure this out. And I remember literally that week because it really stuck to my head when we had this conversation, and I was like, I don't even know what to do. Now, mind you, people, that during this time, obviously the internet was not something that was so a norm at all, really and truly. And being able to just pull up your phone and Google and all that stuff, back then they didn't even really have the cell phones, and if they did, it might have looked like the Zach Morris phones that were almost as big as your head when you put it up to it, and there was no screen for that would have shown anything. But I remember that week, as I'm trying to figure things out, we had fried chicken that week, and then we were also given money to buy pizzas from a spot that was in the hood called 2 for 1 pizzas, but you could get 3 for the price of 1 at that place. And I remember just thinking to myself, I don't know what I'm going to do to even be able to combat this. I know that I don't like the way I feel about myself. I know that, growing in a culture at that time, especially where people, they would just say any kind of jokes about you and it didn't really matter. People laughed and you had to come up with a joke better than theirs, hopefully. And I would be teased in the house. I would be teased when I was at school and things like that. And I knew I didn't feel really good about those type of scenarios, but I simply didn't know what to do. Now, I'm not gonna paint a picture that, oh, my mom was being bad. She was concerned, but she was simply uneducated in what the approach should have been to help me get to where she wanted to see me be able to get to. Now, in addition, I will say also that she did try to help me. I remember she went and bought a weight set for me, and we ended up going to the beach and we filled up the weights with sand. And in her head, she was really helping me, but I didn't even know anything about working out at that time anyway, for it to even really have a greater effect on me. And so I think about that from that time, fast forwarding it to where I am now in 2020, and now me having a child, me having the resources of the internet, self-education, my own personal story at the same time. I want to be able to make sure that not only do I want to have a lifestyle that's going to project something positive for my son as far as better health decision making choices, but I really want to be able to help guide him so that he doesn't go down some of the same paths that I went down. And some of those paths that I dealt with growing up was bad asthma, and I found that actually for me personally, and again, this is not the case for a lot of people, when actually I lost weight, that helped contribute to me not having asthmatic issues. And it is beyond rare that I have asthma attacks. I'm not even prescribed albuterol anymore. I can do as much cardio as I want. I'm surrounded by dust and dirt here at the camp, so that doesn't bother me. But I want to be able to put him in a position to be able to have the better quality of life. I know for me growing up, I would have the nicknames. I remember I went to a camp, and my camp counselor, because I was the big guy, he would call me Pillsbury, just like the Pillsbury Doughboy. Or a lot of people that I grew up with, they call me Big Gabe. And, for guys, that's kind of cool. And when you get older, they like, man, I'm big sexy and all that other stuff. It's not about that. It's going to be about trying to make sure that he doesn't come comfortable with not being healthy. And if he's focused on having a healthier life, that's going to be the key purpose to making sure that he's going to be able to have longevity. He's going to be able to push himself to other limits physically, and just to really feel overall better about himself. And that's what I'm going to be looking to do with him. Now, I know there's a lot of things that go through my mind on how I can help him to be able to achieve these particular goals for his life. The one thing that I am going to make sure that I help to promote and encourage him in, and that is to stay absolutely active. Right now, he's a basketball guy. I hope he becomes a basketball guy, so then I can hope and pray that he becomes a Laker and I can get Laker tickets whenever I want. But I don't care what team he would play for, or even if he doesn't play for a team at all. I just want him to be able to have a regular lifestyle of staying active, where it is just something that he is accustomed to, he'll always look to be a part of, and hopefully be able to encourage him so that, again, he doesn't go down the same road that I did. That I remember when I was wrestling in high school, and I was really happy about that. And then before long, once I got out of shape and I got unhealthy and started facing a lot of challenges, whenever I would talk to people about my past, I would just say, yeah, I used to. And I don't want him to succumb to that. I want him to always stay active. It's not that he always would have to do whatever sport, but again, him always wanting to remain active so that he has that healthier side of a lifestyle. Also, one thing that Giselle and I have actually started doing with him already is limiting his portions of sugars. Obviously for most kids, they like, chicken nuggets and french fries and all that type of stuff. Making the investment, I went ahead and purchased a air fryer so that, french fries, I'm not buying them from the store. I cut those potatoes up, I make it happen. We can do chicken tenders for him, even where we get the chicken, cut it, bread it ourselves, so we know everything that's in there, so he's not going into this with a lot of preservatives in his system, and us being able to do his food that way. Now, sometimes he does go ahead and eat those things because we're learning as we're going through this. So again, this is not me discussing something that I've mastered. It's something that I'm in the process of, and I want to be able to share with you my thoughts on the path that I'm taking. But I want to give him the best chance at having an understanding of food, so that even if he's going to want certain particular things, he knows the correct road to go down to be able to get it, versus him taking the quick method of, I have to go to a fast food place, or I'm gonna go ahead and eat this pizza and I don't even know what's in it. I won't know how this affects me. All those different things. I want him to be able to have a clear understanding of what those things are that he's putting in his body, so that he has a better chance of not having the wonderful villains that I've had to fight within my career of the cholesterol, blood pressure, the diabetes, as well as gout, all those different things, and nerve pains, and all those different challenges that I've had. I want him to be able to understand those things, and I'm gonna be able to make him understand those things by me just always being open to share with him my struggles. And I think that's gonna be where it's very important that I just make that a part of typical conversation with him as he's growing up, from childhood all the way to adult, so it becomes a language that he's very familiar with and has a clear understanding on, so that even if he decides to do whatever he wants to do with his own personal life, which he'll be entitled to, he'll know the possible consequences of it. Because I'm gonna want him to understand that, you're young, you can almost get away with almost anything when you're young. I remember at one point, my brothers and I would eat a whole pizza in an evening, and it was no problem to us. We could do it. And, you think you're young forever until the doctors pull you in there and tell you some stuff that'll make you stop in your tracks. Or you realize, man, I just walked up 10 stairs and I could feel my heart palpitating really badly. I've been there before. And so I want him to be prepped as a young person, so that when he becomes an older individual, it's an easier transition versus him having to now try and turn on a new switch and not have to worry about the struggles of, man, I feel like I have to have this and those cravings are so hard for me. So that's what my plan is for that situation. So lastly within this, I just want to kind of just end this by saying that I feel like, as me being a parent, and a parent who loves my child, and don't want them to go down the same path. It's almost like the parent who was very street, and they no longer have that lifestyle and they want their child to be anything but that. That's kind of the way I look at this situation of what I want to make sure that I project to my son, because it is my responsibility as being his parent to give him the best that I can, to encourage him to be the smartest he can be, to go after all of his goals, to have a vision in mind, to be very educated, be way more educated than myself. It is my responsibility to make sure that he's going to also be as healthy as possibly can be. And I just challenge all of you, if you've got children, if you're going through this struggle with health and fitness and just that greater lifestyle and greater chance of life, get the whole family involved. I encourage you to do that, because if you as a family, one unit, are moving in one direction, it's going to help everybody. And that way you will have that support system for those times or seasons or days or hours that you don't hit all of your points correctly. It gives you a family accountability system that I think is beneficial to everybody. I love the fact that right now, currently, Giselle and I are both on a health path right now. They're very different, but we're both on that path, and it has given me a partner as I'm going through this, and it gives her a partner as she's going through meeting her goals. And so, again, I just want to encourage you. I want you to, maybe consider looking into the factor of what you're feeding your children and how you're able to be healthy as a family and move forward as a unit of good health. And you'll never know where it'll take you. You never know what the benefit will be unless you try this. And so I just want to encourage you in that way. And thank you for joining me for this Wellness Wednesday segment. Please make sure that you hit a like on this video. If you've got some good suggestions on how to help raise a healthier lifestyle child, definitely leave that in the comment. I love learning from others. I think it's very important to everyone moving forward. And go ahead and subscribe to the channel as well, because again, there's always going to be more information, more discussion topics that I'm going to look to dive into that I feel will make us all better, because again, I'm still in my journey. I don't have it all figured out. So thank you again for joining me, and you guys have a great week, and I'll be seeing you for our Spotlight Saturday segment. Bye-bye.